Arianism, the teaching by Arius that Jesus was not truly divine. The vigor of his writings earned him the title of Doctor of the Church. Born of a Christian family in Alexandria, Egypt, and given a classical education, Athanasius became secretary to Alexander, the Bishop of Alexandria, entered the priesthood, and was eventually named bishop himself. His predecessor, Alexander, had been an outspoken critic of a new movement growing in the East, Arianism. When Athanasius assumed his role as Bishop of Alexandria, he continued the fight. At first, it seemed the battle would be easily won, but that didn't prove to be the case. The Council of Tyre was called, and for several reasons that are still unclear, the Emperor Constantine exiled Athanasius to northern Gaul. This was to be the first in a series of travels and exiles reminiscent of the life of St. Paul. After Constantine died, his son restored Athanasius as bishop, but it lasted only a year, and Athanasius took his case to Rome. Pope Julius I called a synod to review the case and other related matters. 5 times, Athanasius was exiled for his defense of the doctrine of Christianity. Among his ascetical writings, his Life of St. Anthony achieved astonishing popularity and contributed greatly to the establishment of monastic life throughout the Western Christian world. ChatGPT can now shop for you too. OpenAI announced Monday that users will soon be able to shop through ChatGPT, rivaling Google Shopping. The AI-powered search shopping buttons are rolling out to everyone with the app installed, including guest users without an account. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Attention coffee lovers, the Founders Trading Post has done it again. We have actually increased our selection of America's best gourmet coffee. Try the new Borromeo roast from Twin Pikes Roastery. Order today and take advantage of flat rate shipping at shop.mikechurch.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Well, it's official. Trump picked an SEC school for his first ever commencement address. And by the way, thank heavens it wasn't A&M. Yeah, I know it wasn't LSU either, but I'll take Bama. What a commencement address it was. Folks, day 2 here of our return to morning drive, and it's a big one. We're rolling out the winapoundofgold.com contest today. Let's get started by Xing the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well,
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
I'll tell you.
It's Rephone. It's Rephone.
Yes, it is a free phone Friday. Boy, this blasted infernal microphone. They are charged with the task of telling us what it is we shall talk about on the program. Telephone number, take me up on this kind, benevolent, beneficent offer. Use of these radio airwaves. Call me sometime when you have no class. 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever hath been. I am King Dude at protonmail.com. So the website that you're going to need is winapoundofgold.com. Winapoundofgold.com. That's where you will get your tickets. That's where, and I'm going to explain the whole thing as we get underway here today. I'll play the first soundbite in this segment, and when you hear it played back, when Maggie tells you what car number to be, you all know the drill. But there's a couple of wrinkles to this game this year. First of all, we had the first phase with what's the prize game and contest. That was fun. Now it's a competition. I forgot to go check the leaderboard and see who's in the lead. BK from Michigan was, and there's like $400 and some odd worth of silver, a troy pounds of silver up for grabs each week for whoever it is that sells the most tickets using their affiliate link. And I'll explain all that as we get underway here today and how that works. And why you're going to want to do that. The primary reason being that every time someone buys a ticket, you get closer to getting a free one. So when you get 5 sales, then you get a free ticket. And that will increase your odds of winning. Currently, the spot price of gold, 1 troy pound is just south of $40,000. I don't know anyone in the business has even attempted to give. I was talking with Scott Resnick yesterday, and I was like, you could go on the Wheel of Fortune. You could do very well. You could even win the final Wheel of Fortune, and you may not get a total of 40 large. But people think that's the greatest prize in the history of prizes, and they're willing to travel across the country to get it. And to go be on the show. Hell, they're willing to go be on the show and be embarrassed because they miss the clues for puzzles that are seemingly easy. Take a round of Jeopardy. If you go on Jeopardy, you could win 3 days in a row on Jeopardy and not amass $40,000. Your odds of winning this pound of gold are better than getting on Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy. So we put it in perspective when someone said, how do we know that? Well, first of all, it's legit because the King Dude is legit, and so is the Crusade Radio Network. Second of all, explain to them in the game show terms that I just gave you. There are a lot of game shows that people go on. Hell, that stupid show that we watched called The Summit. Those people tried to climb a 13,000-foot tall mountain in New Zealand, and of the 30 that started, they made it down to the final 8. Of the final 8, only one of them got a penny. So I think it's the greatest prize ever. I think that the contest that we have built is the most fun and intriguing. And the contest will grow and expand, and you'll find out about it as we go along. So it's going to be a really fun 3 weeks, and you got a chance to win a literal, not figurative, physical pound of gold. I'm not going to give you a coupon. I'm going to get the gold and probably bring it to you. So stay tuned. We'll play the soundbite later in the day. Yeah, President Trump gave the commencement address last night at the University of Alabama, and he just gave good advice. It was really good advice that he was giving out to those young people. And I got to tell you, for all of the things that are said about President Trump and about all of his failings and the things that he could do better and this and that and the other, there is simply no one in modern America that has tried to do more for just this blob of the American people than he has. Now, whether he's successful at it at the end of 4 years, we don't know. I mean, I hope he will be. And then just going to the University of Alabama and giving that the commencement address last night, that's just another example. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do any of that. You know, I'm reminded of, in his first term, in his first year in office, when the University of Notre Dame embarrassed and scandalized every faithful Catholic on earth by inviting Barack Hussein Obama to deliver the commencement address. Do you know that there are still people to this day that did not receive their diploma and have refused their diploma? They didn't want it, saying that the University of Notre Dame, a Catholic institution, scandalized their entire graduating process. Did you know, as a matter of fact, I forget how many it was, but somebody, I want to say it was at Crisis Magazine, wrote a story about this that we covered a couple of years back, that there were literally dozens and dozens and dozens of graduates that refused to walk. And they told the dean, I'm not going on the stage with Obama. I'm not doing it. And the thing was, it had nothing to do with him being black. It had nothing to do with, or kind of black, nothing to do with him being a Democrat. The reason they wouldn't go on the stage with Obama was because he was a born alive infant killer. Because he was the most radical baby killing politician of our time. Remember, he was the only vote. There was only one vote against Jill Stanek, who was a nurse at a hospital in Chicago. Jill Stanek was the nurse who would watch the babies cry themselves to death, not to sleep, to death, that survived abortions. And she's the one that went to the legislature and said, you have to pass a law against this. I'm a registered nurse. I work in this hospital. We cannot continue nursing under these conditions. You have to fix this. And so they proposed what was called the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, the BAIPA. And it sailed out of the legislature easily, went to the Senate, and there were two people that testified against it. One was a Planned Parenthood lunatic, and the other was Senator Barack Obama. There was only one vote cast against the BAIPA, and that was Senator Barack Obama. Obama was the only one that voted against the BAIPA. So ultimately, it became law, and I forget who the governor was of Illinois at the time. But even if he would have vetoed it, they would have overridden his veto. So I want to say that he signed it. In any event, at the University of Notre Dame, when Obama went to go speak, it's still a scandal to this day. There are people that still have not forgiven the University of Notre Dame for what they did. Now, contrast that I wonder how many protesters there were outside of the commencement hall, and were there anyone that didn't go in again and walk, as they say, and get their diploma because Trump delivered the commencement address. And then when you hear it, we'll play, how many, we got four sound bites from it. I think you can hear the whole thing, actually. The life advice that he gave those kids or those young people was just fantastic. It's kind of like what a grandpa would sit you down and say, okay, well, you know, you're getting ready to go out into the world. Here are some things that you may want to consider and that you may want to remember. So we'll get into it as we go along here. The DOGE Bros are back. Funny moment last night. Okay, so when somebody says something to them, we're going to stop these people from stealing our government and from stealing this and from doing this and that and the other. It was revealed last night, Jesse Waters went to the secret cabal, the secret handshake meeting that the DOGE Bros have. Their meetings begin at 10 p.m. So Waters goes in there and he sits down and he looks at his watch. First thing he does, and he goes, "Is this ordinary? Do you always meet at 10 p.m.? And they go around the table and they're all like, yeah. What time did you think we met?" And he says, "Well, it's kind of late. Like most people are going to bed or already sleeping." The men from the DOGE Bro team say, "Well, we still have day jobs." They work at their day jobs. Then they go and act all Doge and stuff. And then they go and they have a meeting at 10 p.m. And Waters says to Elon, well, how does the meeting usually go? And he goes, well, pretty much like Trump's cabinet meeting. We just kind of go around the table and talk about what we discovered today and what we set right, and if anyone needs any help working on something. And he goes, you want to see how we do it? So they went around the table, and we have some highlight clips from all this. The funny moment was, as soon as Waters gets settled in, he goes, okay, all right, first question I have to ask after he asked about the time and all that. Okay, which one of you is big balls? And then Elon just jumps right in and goes, well, isn't that obvious? And the room erupts in laughter. My advice to listeners, especially you people that thrive on peril and thrive on conspiracy and seem to live not for victories but for disappointments. By the way, how does one do that? Now, I live for victories. I rarely achieve one. I lose at almost everything I try, but it doesn't mean I don't want the victory. Some of you people, it seems, are there. Yeah, well, this is what we're fighting for, and I listen to you and I read you and I go like, what, to lose? You want to lose? We're gonna lose anyway, and we should because this is America and it's rotten. You live in it. This is the real part that I don't understand from some of you. You're raising children in this country that you hate, that everything is wrong with, according to you. Everything is wrong. Everyone's a criminal. Everything sucks. There is a conspiracy hiding behind every tree. You're raising your children. No, we're teaching our children we're teaching them to be aware. I think there's another way to get at that awareness. But in any event, for those of you that thrive on conspiracy, thrive on losing and being lehu as the hairs, and seem to thrive, see, our worst fears have come true. I told you. I think that you should view this little slice of time in the history of these United States, and whether you like it or not, you're a citizen of it, most of you. I think that you should review this little slice of time right now as something that is about as joyous as you're going to get in this vale of tears. What are you trying to... I'm saying that this is probably about as good as it gets. The hope ought to be that if the DOGE Bros and the Trump administration is successful in 4 years, then they will have begun to claw back what Lincoln killed. You know, I was thinking about this. I don't know how many of you have seen my spectacular interview with Jeb Smith over the book Missing Monarchy. You can find it on YouTube, on Parler. I need to get it up on X. I got to convert it to an MP4. Jeb has another book out about Dixie. It's Upon This Dixie Land or something to that effect. I just started reading it, and it's already a good read. He and I were talking about lots of things when we did Missing Monarch, and then we talked a little bit about Dixie. I just read the first chapter of the book, and the first chapter of his book on Dixie, which will come out from Shotwell Publishing soon, and when it does, we'll put it in the store. It's out, but you got to get it from Amazon Prints, and I've already told you that why you shouldn't and why we're not going to do that. He makes the case for my docudrama, because it's a comedy, but it's historically accurate as well. One of those labors of love that we slaved over for about a half a year to put together, What Lincoln Killed, Episode 1. And Jeb Smith comes to the correct conclusion that Lincoln killed, as the little tyrant dictator that he was with his radical Republican buddies, that Lincoln killed the founders' version of the Republic under the Constitution. And I think that that's a correct statement here. What I think that we should be hoping for, working towards, and I don't know that all the police pieces are in place, but again, we all have voices and you can lift them up, for the Trump administration to accomplish, and then maybe even a few more after him to continue that, and to continue to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, is to revive what Lincoln killed. And Lincoln's slaughter is significant. All right, we're gonna. I'll come back and visit all of these themes. I gotta. All right, winapoundofgold.com is the website. Start buying tickets now. As soon as you buy one, you become an affiliate. You do not have to use. You don't freak out. Well, I don't want to be an affiliate, but then don't use the link. It just sits there inert unless you access it and copy it. So don't worry about it. There's no need to gum up the works of the chat room and ask 1,000 questions about who's going to be visiting you. You know, the ghost of affiliate past is not going to come and visit you in the middle of the night with chains and all that. If you don't want to be an affiliate, don't be one. I hope that all of you do, though. When you buy a ticket, you become an affiliate. When you win a ticket, you become an affiliate. But you have to redeem your ticket. So, we're going to play soundbite just like we always do. They're all gold themed. And here is the first golden soundbite for this winapoundofgold.com contest.
Okay, Kelly. What is it? What is it you want?
Well, I want 15 Thompsons, 230 caliber machine guns, 2 bazookas, 2 field radios, and enough supplies and ammunition to last a platoon of men in the field for 3 days.
Oh, that all?
Nope. I want the intelligence reports for this whole sector, and I need them in the next 2 hours.
That's nice. What's in it for me?
Piece of the action?
What kind of action?
This kind of action.
Hello, is he? Yeah, it's me. Listen, get me a quotation for gold on the Paris market. Yeah, now, and hurry it up. How much more where this came from?
14,000 bars.
14,000 bars? 14,000? Hey, sweetheart, have yourself a bottle of booze. You're beautiful. 14,000 bars. Set up bow. That's beautiful. Where is it?
In a bank.
In a bank? You're getting pretty ambitious, aren't you? I mean, to think you can blow a bank and get away with it.
It's behind enemy lines.
Behind enemy lines. That could be the perfect crime. Hello? Yeah, is he? Right. I got you. Let's see, 1, 7, carried 2, gold, 54, let's see. $1.6 million. Okay, Kelly.
Okay, $1.6 million. Kelly's hero. Maggie, spin the wheel quickly because we're almost out of time. I didn't realize that soundbite was that long. Be caller number 5 at 844-527-8723. I can play that soundbite anytime between now and noon. Noon. Remember, we have the extended hour now. You don't have to wake up at midnight and 3 a.m. to live like a brother at an Abbey when you start your day with Abbey Roast Coffee, now in 6 blends. Take advantage of flat rate shipping and shop for Abbey Roast today at shop.mikechurch.com. Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know 2 guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. The market report, the Dow Jones closed up 0.21%. The S&P was up as well, 0.63%. NASDAQ climbed 1.52%. In National Day calendar news, today is School Lunch Hero Day, dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias and the schools a better place to be. It's also National Space Day. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering education in young people in the hopes that they'll be inspired to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. It's Life Insurance Day, and it's National Truffle Day. It was Petruccelli of Cambrai, France, believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle. That was back in December of 1895. Truffles became much more prevalent in 1902 after the Prestat chocolate shop opened in London. In fact, Prestat still sells Napoleon III truffles made to the original recipe. Our quote of the day, "In my deepest wound I saw your glory and it dazzled me." St. Augustine of Hippo. And our saint of the day, St. Athanasius. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. In 1971, if D.B. Cooper had jumped out of an airplane with $200,000 worth of gold instead of U.S. currency, he would have $11.5 million in gold bullion today. Now, we don't know where D.B. Cooper's money is, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his vault, and you don't have to jump out of an airplane to win it.
Win Mike Church's Pound of Gold tickets, available at winapoundofgold.com. D.B. Cooper and Cocaine Bear.
The Mike Church Show. Wanted to...
Here she come now, say money, money. Shoot 'em down, turn around, come on, money. Hey, she give me love and I feel alright now. You gotta toss and turn and feel alright, and feel alright.
A little money, or money. Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network, your home for the Win a Pound of Gold Contest 2025. Sooner or later, one of these contests that we do is going to catch on. This should be the one. You do not have to be a Founders Pass member to win. Hell, you don't even have to really be a listener to win. If you want to win a free ticket, you need to be listening. And on the day that we give the prize away, you got like 48 hours to claim it. So if you're not going to be listening to hear your ticket number called, what's the point? So you can listen anywhere. You can listen on X.com. You can listen on CrusadeChannel.com. You can listen on YouTube. You can listen or watch on Rumble. And, of course, on the Crusade Radio Network app. You would never know it, though, to look at the modest beginnings here. Well, that's what you get for starting it on a Friday. All right, back to what I was talking about just a moment ago. Be caller number 5 when you hear the soundbite. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Play back later on today, and you can be the first winner. 844-527-8723. Let me finish up what I was talking about last segment about the opportunity that is in front of all of us here now, and that you should accept it as an opportunity instead of as just another, well, this is just a continuation of Reagan too. No, it's not. This is just like when we had Bush in it. No, it's not. No, it's not. Events are in motion here that could turn out and work out very good for everyone. Again, we don't know. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But I can guarantee you this, if you don't try, it is most certainly going to turn out terribly. And I was basing that just watching the kind of the nerd-like camaraderie of the DOGE Bros when Jesse Waters went and visited with them a couple of nights ago and hung out with them as their meeting starts at 10 p.m. It was a very there were a couple of funny moments in there, but just one of the things that we discovered, if you watch the entire interview, I think I probably saw about half of it. Maggie's got a bunch of sound bites from it. If you watch the interview, one of the things that you discover is these people that are like plain innocent little lambs. Oh, we didn't know that we were overspending. Oh, we didn't know that this money wasn't appropriated. So, oh, yeah, they did. They absolutely did. As a matter of fact, they believe that you can make the statement that the fact that they didn't have budget ID numbers and transaction ID numbers, that was intentional. They did that because they didn't want anyone to know if they ever did get caught where the money went and how they got it. But the DOGE Bros outsmarted them. And so one of the things, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm going, there needs to be punishment for this. These people, what was it? The Institute for Peace. Get this. There's actually an entity in Mordor on the Potomac River called the Institute for Peace. And it's about anything other than peace. So if you go into the Institute for Peace, one of the things that you will see is that they have lockers, they have an armory filled with weapons and ammo. So the DOGE Bro dudes go like, well, we're thinking that we're going into the Institute for Peace and that they're going to be acting like all peaceful EE and stuff. And they go like, yeah, that's not what we encountered there. We actually got there and they met us with armed resistance. Like physical, yes, they had weapons. Here's why they had weapons. They had weapons because they were fleecing tens of billions a year. And it's just like yours truly had, and many others have described it. They basically make fake appropriations requests that go to fake, well, they're not fake, they actually exist, but they don't do anything. Fake, or NGOs that have fake or fraudulent mission statements. What does your NGO do? Oh, we care for little pygmy three-headed children in Africa. Well, what do you do for little pygmy three-headed children in Africa? Oh, we deliver food and we teach them how to walk upright with their three heads. The entity actually exists. There are no three-headed pygmies in Africa, and so there's no need to go and teach them how to walk upright and what have you here. But it does look like there's some activity going on in Africa, and here's the activity. The funds are transferred to an account in a bank in Africa where the NGO is, and then it is then laundered back out as an expense into the bank accounts of the people that work for the Institute for Peace. And the DOGE Bros are going like, when Waters says, what are we talking? Like millions, or goes, billions. Billions. Now, I think that this has been rinsed and repeated all across the entirety of the federal monstrosity here. And I think one of the things that ought to come out of this, can we get some names and some photographs of the people that did this? And does the Department of Injustice know about this? Is the DOJ going to prosecute these bums? So there's that. And again, we'll play you those soundbite. I should have talked about this the other day. And this is probably going to happen again. So I think we should do an Al Gore fire update.
Our planet's got a favor,
My
folks.
church show band.
If the cribs don't fire, you don't check to see if the baby is flame retardant. Even Bush knows that.
We need net zero
You're
emissions.
driving a big car. I come on your radio. I say the end's close. You just say no. I say it's global warming, but you call me a liar. And now this world's on fire. Late at night, you're lighting your home. I say solar's the way. You say you wanna burn some coal.
Hey, I know this guy.
Say your carbon footprint.
My church show band.
Makes the seas rise higher. And now the globe's on fire. You set the world on fire when your car starts. A grill you light to cook your cows that fart. The nerve of flushing, not composting poo. If you'd only go green, the planet would cool.
Sing it out, baby.
Mercedes and Chevrolet, Lincoln and Toyota. Nature, she can't let them make up any more odors. I hear the planet, and I hear her crying, because this earth's on fire. Jay, that was a great song.
Mike Church Show Band with the Fire Song. Get that on the anthology collection at shop.mikechurch.com. Michael Schellenberger reported the other day that the EU came within 3 megahertz of the entirety of their grid shutting down. No one wants to talk about the great power blackout of Portugal and Spain because they don't want anyone to figure out who is to blame. You know who is to blame? Bark, frog, licking, whale, humping, bark, tapping, wackos. That's who's to blame. Those that have been running around the European Union, whining and crying about, Al Gore says the world set itself on fire. We got to get down to net zero emissions. We're all going to die. You're nowhere near net zero. You killed your economy. Now you don't have the capability to produce your own electricity, and you're going to sweat to death this summer because the grid is going to go out. The fact of the matter is that this was just a wake-up call. When it gets hot, and it gets hot in Spain and Portugal in the summer, that thing's going down. And here's why it's going down. I saw the graph. I didn't even believe the graph when I saw it. You know that these morons are relying on like 35 to 40% of their electricity coming from solar panels and windmills? Dude, the state of Texas has tried this. They can't even get to 5%. Let me repeat that. Texas tried this. They can't get to 5%. You know, if you fly from New Orleans, where I live, anywhere out west, let's just say you're flying to Phoenix. You will fly over the Permian Basin, basically. Midland, Odessa, Texas, where the oil is. You'll fly right over it. Here's what's interesting about flying over the Permian Basin. You won't see very many oil wells. You will see thousands upon thousands of windmills. And you go like, wait a minute, aren't I flying over one of the world's largest reserves of West Texas Intermediate crude oil? And the answer to the question is, yeah, dummy. Well then, how come on every hill there's 30 windmills? Well, because Texas bought into the lie that you can generate your electricity with windmills. Oh, just put the solar panels up. Just put the windmills. Get a giant tank and put a bunch of amoeba in there. Put a glass lid on it. And a little cap on the top of it. A little hose comes out. Leads to a little mouse or squirrel cage that turns. And when the amoebas fart, you get electricity. Here's the problem. It doesn't work. It can accentuate the electricity that you already have. It can't replace it. It can't replace it. Here's a story that we have today. Spain's big blackout shows the West needs nuclear. This is going to happen again. And this is because they bought the lie that is net zero and that they had to stop generating electricity using coal, diesel, natural gas. You know, the French are big on nuclear. Not so much the Spanish, the Krauts, and the Portuguese. They're in huge, huge trouble. I think that all of continental Europe is pretty much dead. It's dead in the water. It's a fish. It's out of the water. It's on the dock, and it's doing this. Just doesn't know it's dead yet. At 12:33 p.m. on Monday, a total blackout hit Iberia and bits of southern France, and soon before Spain's worst power outage ever, leaving 55 million people in the dark for 12 excruciating hours. Even for emergency rooms running on generators for critical medical work, electricity and phone signals still hadn't fully returned by midnight. Aside from major road, train, and air traffic chaos, panic and mischief were limited to the odd supermarket hoarders and marauders on pitch-dark streets. Can you imagine this? In an American city, it goes pitch dark, and then you got trendy Aragua boys roaming the streets. You got Gilmar, Abrego, Garcia. By the way, you seen the footage? The Tennessee State Troopers, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, THP, has released footage of Gilmar Abrego Garcia's arrest in 2022 that we talked about. It's not pretty. America and the Democrats poster child for everyone loves him. He's just a Maryland man. He's a Maryland dad. Oh, wait till you hear the latest on this. We'll talk about it later. Imagine the streets of Baltimore for, you people that live near there, the Dolans and what have you. Can you imagine Baltimore going dark for 2 days? Can you imagine Chicago going dark for 2 days because they committed to net zero power generation? And look, for the nature Nazis, this is all fine and dandy because they don't live in the cities. Though fatalities from the blackout remain few, Spaniards are shaken. After such a stint in first world state failure, it's clear that they will grow upset if the ongoing fact-finding efforts yield lessons that go unlearned. They're not going to learn from the lessons. They're already talking about, well, we just didn't build enough windmills. We didn't build enough solar panel farms. You can't build enough. It is not possible. You know who did the math on this to show that it's not possible to do? Elon. Elon did the math. I've seen, I can't remember where he did it. Maybe it was on Twitter. But Elon did the math to show that it is a physical impossibility. I forget how many terawatts the world needs. Currently, the drain on the electricity grid is a certain amount of terawatts per day. So that's what a gigawatt. There's a megawatt, then there's a gigawatt, which is 1,000 megawatts, right? And then there is a terawatt, which is 1,000 gigawatts. Okay, so it's kind of like $1 trillion, right? I forget how many terawatts it is, but Elon said in order for a solar panel, just pretend it's solar panels, in order for solar panels to generate that many terawatts, I can't remember. I want to say that you would have to cover the entirety, if it was either North America or South America, and even then, when it got dark, where are you going to put the batteries to store the stuff? It's not possible. But this has been, as I have maintained for pert near 40 years now, these people hate humans. It's us that they ultimately want to get. They want the world rid of the pesky human. We are the pox on their houses. According to them, the world would just be the greatest place in the entire universe if there just weren't any people here. Unless, of course, it's them. Because you see, they compost and they recycle and they do they're such great stewards of the electricity that they do use. All of you sniveling little people out there, though, start depriving a bunch of poor people of the ability to cook their food, clean, heat their homes, or cool their homes, or whatever the case may be, and you're going to have riots on your hands. You know what? They're going to find the people responsible for this. They're going to drag them out of their snug little penthouses, going to put them in the street, and they're going to Joan of Arc them. They're going to burn them at the stake. But the government so far has ducked out of giving basic answers about what went wrong. Do you have the Schellenberger piece? I thought you had sent it to me in Signal, but I don't see it. Or the Schellenberger tweet, because there's a graph in there where he shows just how close they came to complete and total permanent shutdown. They wouldn't have been able to restart the grid because there's not enough power to get it going again. Most likely, official inquiries will eventually show that Spain's misguided energy policies caused, or at least contributed to the catastrophe. In the meantime, Western leaders should waste no time drawing lessons from this non-fatal disaster in Spain before the underlying errors beget worse consequences elsewhere. This applies to the European Union, whose net zero ambitions under the European General Deal, this is what Trump calls a Green New Scam, share part of the blame, even as wartime, multipolar competition has lately prompted Brussels into a timid rethink. But it concerns as much as Biden's green protectionist legacy, which risks being inherited by Trump's Democrat successor, putting America's left liberal party on track to surpass even the EU in green zealotry. This Green New Scam, which Trump is trying to unroll and roll back, you literally have no idea of just how sinister this is. All right, so here is the Schellenberger graph. If you're watching on video, you can see the graph. And this shows Schellenberger. This is truly bananas. All of Europe appears to have been seconds away from a continent-wide blackout. By the way, did you see the satellite images of what Spain looked like when it went out? I mean, you could clearly see the outline of where the land ends and the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean start. You just see a giant blob of black landmass that has a couple of little twinkling stars. The grid frequency across continental Europe plunged to 49.85 hertz, just a hair above the red line collapse threshold. The normal operating frequency for Europe's power grid is 50 hertz, kept within an extremely tight margin of plus or minus 1/100th of a hertz. Anything outside of 1/200th of a hertz triggers major emergency actions. If the frequency had fallen just another 3/100 hertz below 49.5 hertz, Europe could have suffered a system-wide cascading blackout. At that threshold, automatic protective relays disconnect major power plants and collapse accelerates. And it's disturbingly easy to imagine multiple scenarios where that could have occurred. You look at that chart, they came within, literally within seconds, milliseconds. Remember when the grid went down? What was the date? Was it 2022? February of 2022 in Texas? When you guys lost your power and many of you were without power for a day and a half, some of you 2 days. I think it was 2022. And remember what happened? Because I remember it because one of the things that had happened was Joe Biden, is that Greg Abbott had called Joe Biden and had said, hey, man, dude, we're going to lose, like 30 million people are going to be without power. I need to start the nuclear reactors. And at first, Biden told him no. 200 dash, man, we got zero net emissions. Green New Deal, you can't do it. Yo, set the planet on fire. Well, Greg Abbott kept calling him and finally basically told him, I'm going to start them. I don't care whether you give me permission or not, but it'd be better if you said yes. And ultimately, the regime leader relented. And the nukes were restarted. You know, I don't think people have a grasp of just how tenuous our existence is here without electricity. You don't have electricity. I mean, everything we do almost everything is built around or is centered around cheap, available, abundant electricity. If you remove that, and this story here, the American Conservative, it gets into some greater details. Spain's blackout came at a time when its grid had been running on somewhere between 70 to 75% of input from renewables. Dude, I have to ask the question, what kind of a life do they have in Spain to begin with if you're getting 70, 75% of your electricity from renewables? That's, again, as has been demonstrated, that's just not possible. The country's Keynesian response to the 2008 crash saw solar panels deployed ubiquitously on empty expanses, and their private installment in homes lavishly subsidized a policy rush that culminated in solar feeding 55% of the grid's power input on Monday morning, with wind contributing 11%. These numbers are staggering. As asynchronous sources, the amount of energy these panels and turbines produce can't be controlled on short notice, to say nothing of their unpredictable flow of year-long generation, leading to Monday's unexpected blackout-inducing surge of solar energy. You know, if you live above a certain parallel, I want to say it's 43 or 45, on or around October the 10th or so, if you're in this hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, you can't use a solar panel. The angle is not correct. You can't, it won't work.
We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, but we do know that Mike Church will give you a chance to win his pound of gold. And all you have to do is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. Music is a huge part of any good movie, and Mike Church's The Road to Independence, the movie, has an awesome original score and soundtrack. Hi, this is Jim Mosier. I composed and performed the RTI score from the opening Freedom track to the emotional finale, and it's still one of my favorite works of my 30-year career in music. This score is a big part of The Road to Independence, and you'll hear it in beautiful 6-channel surround sound when you purchase a copy of the 2-DVD Director's Edition of The Road to Independence, available now at mikechurch.com/road. By the way, the director guy, even though he's a royal pain, did a pretty good job too. Learn the real story of the Founding Fathers' struggle for independence.
Order your copy of The Road to Independence, the Director's Cut 2-DVD set at shop.mikechurch.com.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. The first gold rush wasn't in California or in Alaska. It was in Dahlonega, Georgia in 1829 and lasted until the last gold mine closed around 1910. Now, some people say that there's still gold in them there Georgia hills. We don't know about that, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his safe, and he's going to give it away on May the 23rd. And you don't have to say, go dogs, to win it.
Win Mike Church's pot of gold. Tickets on sale now at Winnipeg. Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Folks, I want to talk to you about investing in precious metals and Miles Franklin. Andy Sheckman and his father started Miles Franklin together with the belief that precious metals are wealth, not an investment. Now, you've heard Andy on the Mike Church Show. You know his knowledge and passion for precious metals is second to none. So call Miles Franklin today and tell him I sent you. 952-929-7006. Ask about precious metals storage and IRAs too. Call 952-929-7006.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. The market report, the Dow Jones closed up 0.21%. The S&P was up as well, 0.63%. NASDAQ climbed 1.52%. In National Day calendar news, today is School Lunch Hero Day, dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias and the schools a better place to be. It's also National Space Day. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering education in young people in the hopes that they'll be inspired to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. It's Life Insurance Day, and it's National Truffle Day. It was Petruccelli of Cambrai, France, believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle. That was back in December of 1895. Truffles became much more prevalent in 1902 after the Prestat chocolate shop opened in London. In fact, Prestat still sells Napoleon III truffles made to the original recipe. Our quote of the day: "In my deepest wound I saw your glory, and it dazzled me." St. Augustine of Hippo. And our saint of the day, St. Athanasius. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. In 1971, if D.B. Cooper had jumped out of an airplane with $200,000 worth of gold instead of U.S. currency, he would have $11.5 million in gold bullion today. Now, we don't know where D.B. Cooper's money is, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his vault, and you don't have to jump out of an airplane to win it.
Win Mike Church's Pound of Gold tickets, available at winapoundofgold.com. D.B. Cooper and Cocaine Bear parachute sold separately.
Hey, Red, White, and Dude Nation fans, we recognize that you have choices to make. Choices in what to listen to, choices in what to watch, and in what you wear. Choose the new Mike Church Show Neon Microphone t-shirt. Printed on beautiful 100% soft cotton tees, the logo's so cool. Even if your friends don't know who the King Dude is, they'll want one anyway. Available in sizes medium through Lizzo-sized 3X. Order today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hey folks, it's Mike Church, producer of the Shakespeare Radio Film Festival, announcing that we're offering the entire festival, including Joseph Pierce's commentaries, for just $19.95. That's a 50% discount. This exclusive download will include over 16 hours of festival content. To reserve your Shakespeare Radio Film Festival download at an incredible 50% off, go to crusadechannel.com/Hamlet.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints. Catch new episodes of Reconquest Wednesdays at 8 Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Hey, it's the King Dude for My Pillow. Mike Lindell sent me my first set of My Pillows 14 years ago. I loved them then, and I still love that same set of original My Pillows today. True story. Now, that's a testament to the craftsmanship and quality of the My Pillow. But don't take my word for it. Go try it for yourself. Use my unique code and get huge discounts and free shipping on all orders by going to mypillow.com/King Dude. That's mypillow.com/King Dude.
Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
For 49 years, the faithful prayed the rosary for an end to the horror of Roe versus Wade. And now that those prayers have been miraculously answered, the faithful continue praying for an end to all legal abortions in these United States, daily private intentions and devotions, and for the triumph of Mary's Immaculate Heart. The rosary is an art form, and there's no more dedicated and finer rosary-making artist than our very own Maggie O'Connell. To browse Maggie's catalog of beautiful handcrafted rosaries and chaplets, visit the Little Bayou Rosary. It's part of the Founders Trading Post Catholic Corner store at shop.mikechurch.com. For a custom-made rosary or chaplet design, call us at 844-527-8723. See the entire Little Bayou Rosary collection at shopmikechurch.com.
Hey, it's Mike Church. Tell you how you can enjoy this whole show in crystal clear stereo and without annoying messages like this one. Sign up for a Founders Pass membership for the grand total of 0.0. All we ask is your name and email address. No credit card needed. To sign.
In the era of the Biden regime, the Mike Church Show lives by the creed, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And if that doesn't work, move to Grenada.
Hey, guys. You got a minute?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
It's about my dad. He wants to have a sex change operation.
Whoa, I knew he was gay. I didn't think he was that gay.
No, Peter, he's not gay. He's a woman stuck in a man's body.
Yeah, gay.
No, it's totally different.
Sounds the same.
Well, it's not.
Okay, so he wants to be a woman so he can be a lesbian?
No, he'd date men.
Gay.
Yeah, gay.
Okay, this is not the help I came over here for.
Well, look, let's just all agree that he's odd, huh?
He has an appointment Friday with Dr. Hartman to have the procedure, and he wants me to go with him. I don't know if I can handle that.
Well, I'm sure your friend Peter would be happy to come along for moral support.
All right, but look, here's the deal. Anything he lops off, we get to bring home for Brian.
That's very green of you, Peter.
The heat is on the street. Inside your head, on every beat, and the beats alive deep inside.
fastest 3 hours in all of radio. The Mike Church Show's on the Crusade Radio Network on a free phone Friday. Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. Your home for the 2025 Win a Pound of Gold contest here from now until May the 23rd, Friday, May the 23rd, which is the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, which is why it was chosen. So I played the golden soundbite of the day earlier today, and the ticket window is now open at winapoundofgold.com. I just want to take a moment and just run through just a boilerplate of how this works so that everyone that's listening right now is on the same page. Is BK still at the top of the leaderboard?
Yes, and he's saying that he's had 8 more.
Well, it has to be manually updated.
Oh.
So, there's only there's so many things that you can automate, and that's not one of them. So, you know what? If Scott Resnick is listening, if he wants to go and update all of the leaderboard, I think it was the push of one button, and he could do it. But then they will show. So let me just explain to what she's talking about. Okay. Previously, when we've given away Kia Seltos cars and Kia Souls, you bought a ticket or you won one on the air, and then you waited for us to put all the tickets in the hopper at Bulldog Kia. We spun it and reached in and grabbed the ticket out and then proclaimed the winner. And that's all fine and dandy. If you didn't want the car, you could take the cash equivalent. Out of 5 people that won cars, 3 took cash equivalent. So 2 cars were actually delivered. This is a troy pound of solid gold. No one in their right mind is going to take the cash equivalent because, well, I'm not going to offer it. So if you win, you're taking the gold. You know, when I was going through looking for the sound bites that would make up the secret golden sounds, I thought I was going to find, and I know there's a lot out there, I just couldn't remember them. I thought I was going to find all manner of movies where, you know, because one of the great prizes that they chase in bank robberies and in heist movies and in pirate movies, arr, mateys, is gold. I actually had a very difficult time. It took 6 hours to compile the 15 sound bites that I was able to find. And maybe that's because Google sucks at showing people where gold is. That could possibly be it. Or maybe because people haven't cataloged the sound bites and from shows and what have you, and you know, actually kind of identified them and made individual little sound bites or movie clips out of them. I don't know. But it took 6 hours, and I ultimately had to use 5 songs because I was running out of material. Gold has been around since Adam. If you think of a currency, paper currency, and you think of, well, how much is it worth? What is it that you usually measure the paper currency in? It's either sterling silver or gold. So why anyone would have a difficult time in calculating that, well, why would I want gold? Why wouldn't you want gold? So I just want to, there's a couple of things that I discovered that when I was putting together the audio promos. I wondered aloud, this is just an abject lesson here, simple economics 101. In an inflationary economy, if you stuff $100 bills into a mattress, over the course of years, they become worth less in purchasing power than they were when you stuffed it in the mattress. So it's stupid to fill mattresses up with $100 bills. Fill mattresses up or vaults with gold coins. and the purchasing power that you had the day you put it in the vault or the mattress or you buried it in the backyard so the dog couldn't find it is the same purchasing power when you dig it up. So I was trying to think of a couple of examples. So the one that I could think of was, how many of you are familiar with the story of D.B. Cooper? By the way, his name, this is one of the things I discovered, his name is not D.B. Cooper. How many of you people knew that? CrusadeChannel.com/chat. I thought since we moved back to mornings, we were going to make the chat room great again. And we were going to return to the glory days of triple-digit chatters in there. I see 42. How many people knew, and they've made several movies or done documentaries, that this guy's name is not D.B. Cooper? An agent with the FBI. You know, I didn't even know the whole story. I was reading the story going like, they never said anywhere. They never said anything. Okay, it happened in 1971. It was a commercial flight, and it was carrying a cash payroll. He found out about it, bought a ticket to be on the plane just like anyone else. That story you have right there is the one that I was reading. I could see it on your window right there. The one that Maggie has, she'll show you guys on video. That's the one, that right there. That's exact, and that's the artist sketches, okay? D.B. Cooper's name is not D.B. Cooper. They're not even really sure that his last name is Cooper. But if it is, his name is Daniel Cooper. That's the first thing I learned is that, okay, here's the urban legends about D.B. Cooper. Here's the second thing. So it was a commercial flight. He hijacked the flight while it was in midair. And then he told the pilots, radio down to the airport. I forget where it was. It's probably in your story right there. And tell the FBI to meet me on the tarmac. Everyone on this plane is my hostage. I am armed, and I will blow this mother out of the sky. I'll start killing people. If that doesn't work, I'll blow this mother out of the sky. And here's what I want. I have a simple request. When we land in Seattle or Tacoma or wherever it was, you're going to bring to the jetway, you're going to bring 2 parachutes. And that's all I need. And he said something else about I think it was one of those nets, those nets that are made out of nylon straps or rope straps or whatever. So okay, so you're gonna bring 2 parachutes, one that I can put on, and one that's made for a man, and pack it correctly and certify that it's done, and a second one, and then a safety net or whatever. Okay, so they did that. And then he told the pilot, do exactly what I tell you. And so the plane went and took off again. Okay, now they saw the guy, Daniel Cooper. They saw him when he came to get the parachutes. Okay, so they saw him, and I guess they didn't have a sniper and couldn't take him out. The plane takes off again, and then he tells the pilot basically to fly over the Shasta Mountains or the Sierra Nevada, whatever it is at that point. And the pilot does it as he's told. And then Cooper goes down into because there's cargo in the cargo hold. He goes down into the cargo hold. There's a pallet of cash. It's $200,000 in cash. There's a pallet of cash in the cargo hold of the plane. He goes down there, he rigs the net up, and then the other parachute. He rigs that up, and then he opens the loading door or the access door where they load the cargo. And he opens it up. He pulls the cord on the parachute, and he pushes the bundle out. And as soon as it's clear, he jumps out and pulls his ripcord, and he's never seen or heard from again. They scoured that area for months, and they never found nothing. They never found the parachutes. They never found him. They never found the pallet. They never found nothing. No one knows what happened to D.B. Cooper or Daniel or Dan Cooper. Here's what I thought was interesting. So I ran some numbers. He took $200,000 in cash in 1971. What would the purchasing power of $200,000 in cash in 1971 be in 2025? So if you got to get the CPI index out, and then you got to run a bunch of calculations. So I ran the calculations. Basically, you would have, if you had $200,000 in 1971, let's just pretend he was Rip Van Winkle and he fell asleep and he woke up 50 years later today and he went to go spend that $200,000, he would have the purchasing power of $23,700. That's what government does to your paper currency. $23,700. So he would lose 88% of the money that he had in 1971. So again, if he had $100 bills or 20s or whatever it was, and he buried them in a treasure chest, and he came back in 50 years, and he unearthed the treasure chest, and he opened it up, and he went to go spend the $200,000 he had stolen from that payroll, he would have the purchasing power of $23,700 today. Does that sound like a fair deal? Anyone think that that's a fair deal? Okay, fine. Now, let's pretend that he didn't take $200,000 in paper currency. Instead, he took $200,000 in gold bars. Far more interesting of a turnout. Here's the math. In 1971, pre-Nixon shock, Nixon took us off the gold standard. Cooper jumped out of the plane before Nixon took us off the gold standard. In 1971, gold was $40 an ounce. So if you do the math at 200,000, that would mean you need 5,000 ounces of gold. Okay, let's just say Rip Van Winkle, again, he fell asleep for 50 years. He woke up, he remembered where the treasure chest, remember, and he went and found the treasure chest, and he went and unearthed it, and he took his 5,000 ounces of gold to go to a bank or wherever, to a gold exchange to go sell it. He would have, and the number is stunning, he'd have $11,500,000 in gold bullion. That's what they give him paper cash for. So, better char played. What is the lesson? What is the story? The story is when someone gives you a chance to win a pound of gold, win the damn pound of gold, dummy. And stop complaining and worrying about whose gold it is. It doesn't matter. You have a chance, and so does everyone you know, to win a troy pound of gold. Thank me. Stop throwing objections and roadblocks up. Well, wait a minute. No, there is no objection and roadblock. Thank us. What a and it costs $50. Okay, we calculate this out. I'm going to take your family of 6 out to McDonald's and see if you can feed them on $50. Well, you can't. So, for less than a meal at McDonald's, you have a chance to acquire $40,000 in real net worth gold. If you keep the gold, then it's going to be worth whatever. It'll have the same purchasing power in 2 years if you don't spend it as it would if you spent it at the end of the contest on the first day and bought a car. Does everyone understand that this is not giving a car away? This is like giving something away that could literally change someone's life. And you can hang on to it. What a peace of mind to know you got 40 large and gold bars sitting in a safe deposit box or in your safe where your gun is. That is generational wealth. So I think we ought to be able to sell 20,000 of these tickets. Only 6,000 are available. I think you ought to spread the news to all your friends and family now that you are to become an affiliate. Those of you that never played the game before, dude, what in the hell is wrong with you? Don't tell me you can't use a shot to win $40,000 in gold bars, which if inflation were to continue in a couple of years, that'll be $50,000 in gold bars. It's a great opportunity. As a matter of fact, Andy Sheckman's endorsement of it was like, I don't know why I never thought of it, because it's crazy. And he says in the endorsement, because it's crazy. And I'm still marveling over the fact that Mike came up with it. Well, actually, I didn't. This is all John Anderson's fault. So, thanks, Anderson. Everyone's going to want to play King Dude. Well, as you have seen, John, that in the first 2 days, that's not necessarily the case. But it's going to change. So, it's a great opportunity. It's a great story that you could tell. You know where your grandma and I got our start and got our Dad, sonny. We won a pound of gold from some radio guy way back in the day. What a great story to tell. Runner-up gets a pound of silver. Again, $50 ticket, pound of silver. That is times 9. You're increasing the value of that $50 ticket. The chance to increase the value of that $50 ticket's times 9. And again, having a pound of sterling silver around is a great thing. It's smaller denominations. You can cash it in at almost any bank out there or metal exchange. And if you get in the pinch, you need to buy something, you go get your silver, and it has the purchasing power that it had when I gave it to you when you won it. So go to winapoundofgold.com and buy a ticket. Or 10. And then you become an affiliate. And then you click on the affiliate area link, and there's a URL that's there. That's yours. There's a QR code. That's yours. No one else has that QR code. You give it out and share it. If anyone clicks that code or scans that QR and buys a ticket, you get credit. Sell 5 tickets, you get a free one. You see what a great contest this is? And then every week, whoever sells the most amount of tickets gets a free pound of silver. That's the reward for being the #1 affiliate. Now, is this the greatest radio promotion in the history of radio promotions? I haven't even told you about the Easter eggs or the golden Easter eggs. We're going to do that on Monday because we just weren't able to work out all the details, and I want to make sure that it works for everyone. But what a great contest. Phenomenal thing to be a part of. It should expand the audience tenfold in just a couple of days. Will it? I don't know. Not if people keep throwing stupid, ridiculous roadblocks up that this is some kind of a hoax and a joke, and that it's some kind of a cruel scam that we're playing on all these people. And you're like, how do these people know that I'm a criminal? How do they know that Maggie's got a wanted poster on the post office wall? How did they find it? Who told them? And all of this, of course, is not true. I'm being facetious for the sake of being facetious. So, winapoundofgold.com. And if you don't want to be an affiliate, then don't be an affiliate. You don't have to. Your ticket is the same whether you are an affiliate and you use it or you don't. If you're a shut-in and you're an introvert and you don't share them, then you just ignore the fact that you have an affiliate link and no one will ever know that you did. Well, no, you're not going to be penalized if you don't use your affiliate link. So there you go. And this is a quick contest. It's 3 weeks. We're not dragging it out over 4 weeks. So the tickets that are on sale today, there's only 2,000 of them. There's a reason for that. It is to drive up the demand so that the rest of the cool parts of the contest actually work. So only 2,000 available, and that was Monday when we started with the affiliates. I don't know how many. I didn't check the inventory today. So go check it out, and you should start getting excited about the fact that ticket, it only takes one, could be yours, and you get the pound of gold. Okay. Everybody cool now? Is everybody up to speed? I hope so. Let's do some digital media files. Here, Andy Sheckman is going to join us at the top of the next hour, and we'll talk about finance stuff. And he just came back from Europe, and I'm interested to hear what he learned. Actually, he was in Spain. He dropped his daughter off at the University of Barcelona. Play digital media file number 1. This is President Trump at the University of Alabama giving the invocation or the commencement address speech, whatever you wish to call it. There are a couple of things that I noticed immediately. If you're looking for an Easter egg in a contest, and if we were playing Easter egg today, and I showed you this video, of course I can't ask Shafa 13 because he's not in the chat room. What would be the just and it's not. This is not an Easter egg, but it could be. I mean, if we had the game ready to go, what would the Easter egg, if you're watching Trump, be in the Trump shot? Not a trick question. You're looking right at it. Roll the tape.
First, if you're here today and think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. You can have great success at a very young age. You're all very young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. I was 28 when I took my first big gamble to develop a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, the Grand Hyatt, and it worked out incredibly well. But I was very young at the time. I was like a very young person in sort of an old person business. Steve Jobs was 21 when he founded Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he founded Disney. James Madison, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. They were no older than 25 when they began the journeys that etched their names into the history books for all time. So to everyone here today, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the beginning, from the day you leave this incredible university. Go out and fight tough, fight fair. But go out and fight. You're going to be very successful because now is the time to work harder than you have ever worked before. Push yourself further than you have ever pushed yourself before. Find your limits and then smash through everything. Go and smash through. You've watched that football team smash through. You're going to do the same thing.
None of you Sharpies got the Easter egg. And if you were watching it, it was right there in front of you. Do you know what it was? You don't even know what it was. He's in the blue blazer. He gives the commencement address. It's customary. They put the doctor's gown on you like you're a graduate. He didn't wear it. Back in the heyday of broadcast TV, NBC called its Thursday night lineup must-see TV. That was then, and this is now. And the only must-see TV is The Mike Church Show, now simulcast live on Roku, YouTube, and Rumble. But if you miss an hour or a day, you can watch that entire show whenever you want when you become a Premium Founders Pass member. Sign up today and access my 2,000-plus podcast. So many, I can't even get my mom to say that she listened. Go premium today at crusadechannel.com/offer.
We don't know if there's gold in them hills of Dahlonega, Georgia, but we do know there's a pound of gold in the Mike Church vault. And all you have to do to win is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the King Dude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all three spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the King Dude offers you his personal money-back guarantee of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a King Dude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mikechurch.com. Music is a huge part of any good movie, and Mike Church's The Road to Independence, the movie, has an awesome original score and soundtrack. Hi, this is Jim Mosier. I composed and performed the RTI score from the opening Freedom track to the emotional finale, and it's still one of my favorite works of my 30-year career in music. This score is a big part of The Road to Independence, and you'll hear it in beautiful 6-channel surround sound when you purchase a copy of the 2-DVD Director's Edition of The Road to Independence, available now at mikechurch.com/road. By the way, the director guy, even though he's a royal pain, did a pretty good job too. Learn the real story of the Founding Fathers' struggle for independence.
Order your copy of The Road to Independence, the Director's Cut 2-DVD set at shop.mikechurch.com. Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com.
Brother Mike Church presents Flashback. Sinful things that were happening 20 years ago. Jurassic Park, the remake of Godzilla, and the beginning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Are either of you homosexuals?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
Let's hope and pray no one will ever confess those sins again. The Mike Church Show, preaching and teaching from his abbey while living here in the present on the Veritas Radio Network's crusade.
I do feel, Reg, that any anti-imperialist group like ours must reflect such a divergence of interest within its power base.
Agreed. Francis? Yeah, I think Judith's point of view is very valid, Reg, provided the movement never forgets that it is the unalienable right of every man or woman to rid himself or herself. Agreed. Thank you, brother. Or sister. Where was I? I think you finished. Oh, right. Furthermore, it is the birthright of every man or woman. Why don't you shut up about women, Stan? You're putting us off. Women have a perfect right to play a part in our movement, Reg. Why are you always on about women, Stan? I want to be one. What? I want to be a woman. From now on, I want you all to call me Loretta. What? It's my right as a man.
Well, why do you want to be Loretta, Stan?
I want to have babies. You want to have babies? It's every man's right to have babies if he wants them. But you can't have babies. Don't you oppress me. I'm not oppressing you, Stan. You haven't got a womb. Where's the fetus going to gestate? You're going to keep it in a box?
Here, I've got an idea. Suppose you agree that he can't actually have babies, not having a womb, which is nobody's fault, not even the Romans, but that he can have the right to have babies.
Good idea, Judith. We shall fight the oppressors for your right to have babies, brother. Sister, sorry. What's the point? What? What's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression. Symbolic of his struggle against reality.
This show delivers a healthy dose of conservative Ozempic to help you lose the crushing weight of white guilt and help make America great again. We are live here on the Crusade Radio Network, your home for the 2025 Win a Pound of Gold contest. I played the golden soundbite of the day earlier today. When you hear it played back, be caller number 5, and you're going to be the first one that has a chance and a free ticket. You can only win one, just once, a free ticket to win my Troy Pound of Gold. But you don't have to wait. Get your tickets at winapoundofgold.com. By the by, for those of you that are going to take advantage of the affiliate program, and I think all of you should, we are making graphics for you. Click the creatives link. Now there's and Ted is also, and thanks to Ted and Scott Resnick for the great work, and Matthew and all the crew. and the Crusader Council. So many hours put into this to make this thing, this contest actually work. But if you're going to send a text message or an email, we are providing you with sample text, or you can just use the text that's in there. It's all in your creatives. If you want to send an Instagram out, you can. Those images are actually made to work on your Instagram account. They're the exact size they need to be. You just need to put the link in, your link in, and we will continue to get graphics and text and suggestions made in the creatives to help you with your affiliate program. So BK is in the lead. Yeah, I calculated that he's at 27 tickets through his affiliate link. So, and it shows on the leaderboard at winningpoundofgold.com. Yeah, he is rolling out. But you know what? The clock gets reset at midnight tonight. I think some of you can catch him. And by the way, who's in second? Scott W. You know what Scott W. did yesterday? And Scott W. only has like 95 followers on X.com. He tweeted it out. And he tagged me in it, and you retweeted it, and I retweeted it. So Scott W. is getting referrals on his social media, and he doesn't have a large following. That's an example of how this works. And once people start going, really, they're giving a pound of gold away? Yeah, and you can actually win one free on air every day. The contest is really cool. So I feel like we're picking up a little momentum here, and God willing, we will continue. I want to go back to what I was saying about Trump and the Easter egg. When was the last time you saw someone give a commencement address, someone famous, that did not have the university's standard gown on? Think of the most famous one in the last couple of years, Harrison Butker, when he gave the commencement at Benedictine 2 years ago, and everyone went crazy and said that he was a wife beater and a misogynist, a male chauvinist, misogynist pig, and what have you. What was Harrison wearing? He was wearing the standard color of a Benedictine graduate. And usually, not only do you put the gown on, you also put the hat on. Look at the pictures of Harrison. Look at pictures of Obama. Look when Biden gave. I think Biden was UPenn a couple of years ago when he could still put sentences together. They put Biden in the row, but not Trump. Trump went, I got my own uniform, okay? I love you, Alabama, but I don't want the cap and the gown. I haven't earned the doctorate. Don't give me an honorary. I only take things that I earn, okay? And I don't... most people don't know this about DJT, but one thing that I know about him, he's a graduate he went to Penn, didn't he? Where did he go to Penn State? But he is certainly, his MBA is from Wharton, the Wharton Business School at Penn or Penn State. So he did earn a degree, and he probably was like, no, I've got a degree already, okay? I have a degree. In any event, playing a digital media file number 2. Now, here's the question I want to ask Free Phone Fridayers. Was the advice that President Trump gave to the University of Alabama graduates good? What did he say? You're in the prime of your life. Get out there and do something, okay? Don't let anyone tell you're too young. Then he went down the list. Actually, he talked about James Madison was 25. Thomas Jefferson was 27. Play number 1 again, Maggie, because it's been like 20 minutes since you played it. And then we'll go right into to number 2 here. So let me just comment on a couple of these founding fathers who I've done biographies of in my movies, so I know a little bit about them. Yep.
First, if you're here today and think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. You can have great success at a very young age. You're all very young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. I was 28 when I took my first big gamble to develop a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, the Grand Hyatt, and it worked out incredibly well. But I was very young at the time. I was like a very young person in sort of an old person business. Steve Jobs was 21 when he founded Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he founded Disney. James Madison, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. They were no older than 25 when they began the journeys that etched their names into the history books for all time. So to everyone here today, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the beginning, from the day you leave this incredible university. Go out and fight tough, fight fair, but go out and fight. You're going to be very successful, because now is the time to work harder than you have ever worked before. Push yourself further than you have ever pushed yourself before. Find your limits and then smash through everything. Go and smash through. You've watched that football team smash through. You're going to do the same thing.
Let me just comment on this. Alexander Hamilton was 16. Get my movie. We need to do a better job of promoting our movies because they're so good. Especially for you homeschoolers, and for those of you that love American history. Now, I say movies, there are 5 of them are audio, 2 of them are DVDs, but get my movie, I call it a movie, The Times That Try Men's Souls. In The Times That Try Men's Souls, you will follow George Washington as he flees Long Island. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Long Island. One word, Long Island. He flees Long Island, he gets to Manhattan, and he knows that Cornwallis is coming after him and is going to chase him. And so he's making his way up Manhattan, because he landed almost on the southern and eastern tip. And he passes what is called Kips Bay today. It's still there, Kips Bay. And he sees a young man conducting artillery drills with a platoon of younger men. And Washington gets it. He tells his valet, I forget his valet's name, hold the horse. Who is that? Who is that? Bring me that kid right there. And the valet goes and says, General Washington wishes to speak with you. And so, and you can tell I love, am I boring you people to tears with American history stories? Because I love telling them. So if I'm boring you to tears, I apologize. The valet goes and says, General Washington wishes to speak with you. And so the young man goes over, and he's standing there, and there's 6'4" Washington on that magnificent 20-hand tall horse of his. And he says, young man, who are you? And who are you commanding these people? Are these, he calls the boys men, are these men under your command? And Hamilton says something to the effect, get Richard Hershiser's book, Alexander Hamilton, America. It's probably the best bio of Hamilton ever written. And Hamilton says, he does snaps his feet together and goes, bows up and goes, Alexander Hamilton reporting for duty, sir. And then Washington says, tell me, lad, how old are you? Sir, I am 16. Your Excellency. Washington says 16. And then there's a conversation that ensues, and then Washington says, okay, show me that you know what you're doing with that artillery. And he points at something off the distance. He goes, go over there and get your men to line that gun up and see if you can hit that target. So Hamilton goes over there, tells his boys to line the gun up, and they fire around, and bammo, dead center. He hits it. And then Hamilton comes back, and then Washington says, I could use a young artillery captain like you. Makes him a captain right there. I could use a young artillery captain like you. Would you be interested in joining the Continental Army? And Hamilton says yes, and Washington swears him in right there. And at 16, Alexander Hamilton becomes an officer in the Continental Army. Now, you tell me that's not a great story. Why don't kids know this great story about Hamilton that I just told? So, later, as Washington is fleeing Cornwallis, he has to cross the Harlem River. That's one. Okay, he's already crossed the east. That's one. Harlem River. That's two. Gets chased through White Plains. Now he's got to cross the Bronx River. That's three. Cornwallis is in hot pursuit. He's got to cross the Hudson River now. That's 4. Cornwallis is still in hot pursuit. He has to cross the Hackensack. That's 5. He has to cross the Passaic. That's 6. He has to cross the Raritan. That's 7. And finally, he has to cross the Delaware. That's 8. So when you hear about Washington's crossing, it's not just it should be said Washington's recrossing, because he had to cross with an army of 5,000 men 8 rivers. That's absolutely incredible. One more thing on the accomplishment of young men. While he's crossing these rivers, some recruits arrive from the Virginia militia. And one of them is another 16-year-old. Do you know what his name is? Lieutenant Colonel James Monroe. So here's Hamilton at 16. Here's Monroe at 16, officers in the Continental Army. Of course, on the Battle of Trenton, only 2 men are injured in Washington's army on the day after Christmas, December the 26th, 1776. You know who the 2 men that were injured were? Hamilton and Monroe. Monroe got shot in his left shoulder, and the musket ball lodged up against his scapular, and they tried to get it out for like hours, and finally they were just like, leave it in there. And so they weren't able to get. He died with that musket ball still lodged on his shoulder. So anyway, when Trump is talking about young men accomplishing things, do not let age deter you from anything. It's a great point. And he's right about the founding fathers. Patrick Henry was 23 years old when he gave his first famous speech in the House of Burgesses in 1769. Now, go to digital media file number 2. Continuing on with the commencement at the University of Alabama. By the way, this portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. Brand new arrivals of great books. We have our Mancipia Maria cigars. They are so good and they're fresh. They just came in. Capuchin Holy Roast coffee and too much of that. And don't forget the spices. My beef and butt rub, Acadiana steak seasoning, and the ever popular chicken mamu. All available at shop.mikechurch.com. All right, number 2.
Number 6, if you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. It doesn't work that way. Progress never comes from those satisfied with the failures of a broken system. It comes from those who want to fix the broken system. And you'll make the bigger money, you'll make the more success by acting that way. The other way may be more secure, but if you want to go to the top, you're just never going to do it unless you break the system. Change is never easy, and the closer you get to success, the more ferociously those with a vested interest in the past will resist you. They want to resist. So I just say, trust me on that, because I know you really do. You have to break the system a little bit and follow your own instincts. But if your vision is right, nothing will hold you down.
You got to break the system. This is not your usual commencement address. You will go out there, you're going into this world and there's politics and there's this bit. This is advice from one of the world's greatest businessmen in history, that you're going to break the system, and when you go to break the system, the men that are in charge of it are going to hate you and they're going to try to stop you. The Mike Church Show has been breaking the system for 34 years, folks. And they've been squashing me with their thumb ever since. All right, play the next one. Okay, this one is funny. Digital media file number 3.
Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. That's true.
Now, if If you're in Alabama, and you got to love that. Roll Tide. And then finally, but in America, we reject the idea that anyone is born a victim.
But in America, we reject that idea that anyone is born a victim. Our heroes are the ones who take charge of their own destiny, make their own luck, and determine their own fate despite the odds, despite all odds. That's what happens. They're given a little chance in many cases, very little chance of success, and they become the most successful people in the world. Whether you were born rich or poor, black or white, male or female in America, anyone can be a winner, and our whole country will be cheering you on, and I'll be at the front of the line cheering you on, especially because you come from this incredible university.
And there was much more to it, but you kind of get the idea. And as I said the other day, you can do far worse, especially as a community builder and business leader than Donald John Trump. And there he is telling those young people that don't let people tell you can't do this and you're too young. You know, and he got the story about Steve Jobs correct, but there's another story, the Apple computer story. Walter Isaacson's book, Jobs, does an okay job of it. Steve Wozniak was also 21. When they formed Apple and they formed the engineering team that ultimately would change the world literally with the Macintosh, Jeff Raskin was 21. Susie Kerr was 21. And she's the one that came up with the, I forget which one of them, came up with the idea, well, how are people going to navigate around on this thing you're calling a GUI, graphic user interface? And he said, well, we're going to have these drawings on the screen. Because you can remember back then, if you're drawing something on a screen, you just squares. Think building blocks, right? You remember your ABC building blocks? Well, Susie, I say Care. It's not Care. It's Susie K. It's not Kane either. It'll come to me. She's an artist, and she's a computer nerd. She's in a computer club, with an Apple II computer club. And somebody says, well, Susie is great at drawing little bitmap. They didn't even call them icons, whatever they call them. And so they went and talked to her, and they said, yeah, I'd love to do it. So all of those early little graphics that you see, some of them are still used, were drawn. Maggie, you love your graph paper. She used graph paper. She would fill the block in like you're taking an SAT test. She used the graph paper to draw the icons, and the rest, as they say, is history. And they were all in their early 20s. All right, play a digital media. We played this yesterday on the 11 a.m. hour. If you missed it, I think we could squeeze most of it in. This is the greatest moment from the White House briefing room podium in White House history. I'm talking about 5.
Sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist. Well, no coverage occurred in your papers about any of the Americans that were raped and tortured and murdered by the illegals that Biden was importing into our country. You talk about due process. The Biden administration made the decision to give extensive due process to 2 trained Nicaragua terrorists that were apprehended at the border just a couple years ago. They were 2 gentlemen. They were from Venezuela. They were members of Trained Nicaragua. The Biden administration Border Patrol apprehended them and made the decision to provide them with extensive due process, put them onto a program known as supervised release, and put them on ankle monitors so that they could go through a lengthy legal, judicial determination as to whether these legal aliens who had just set foot on U.S. soil might want to live in the United States for the rest of their lives. What was the result of that decision? What was the result of that choice that was made? Those 2 men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Ungary from her family. They beat her, they sexually assaulted her, they tortured her, they stripped her, they murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you...
All right, we're going to run out of time, folks. We'll pick this up on the other side of the timeout here on the Crusade Radio Network. Attention coffee lovers, the Founders Trading Post has done it again. We've actually increased our selection of America's best gourmet coffees. Try the new Guatemala Le Eterna roast from Twin Pikes Roastery. Order today and take advantage of flat rate shipping at shop.mychurch.com.
We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, but we do know that Mike Church will give you a chance to win his pound of gold, and all you have to do is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. The first gold rush wasn't in California or in Alaska. It was in Dahlonega, Georgia in 1829 and lasted until the last gold mine closed around 1910. Now, some people say that there's still gold in them there Georgia hills. We don't know about that, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his safe, and he's going to give it away on May the 23rd. And you don't have to say, go dogs, to win it.
Win Mike Church's pound of gold. Tickets on sale now at winapoundofgold.com. Gold Pen Vacation sold separately. Hey Christian patriots, are you tired of waking up to the same old fake news? Start your morning right with the Daily Church Doctrine, written by the King Dude himself. It's the must-have newsletter for the truth seekers like you. Every issue brings you the truth and wisdom quote of the day, plus 3 can't-miss stories every Christian patriot needs to know. And that's not all. You'll get exclusive deals from the Founders Trading Post you won't find anywhere else. Sign up for free at mikechurch.com/dude. That's mikechurch.com/dude. Wake up, stay informed, and join the movement. You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust, because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Radio Network News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that has won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Trump nominates Waltz for a high-level post after ousting him as National Security Advisor. Kuwait frees 10 more Americans, bringing the total to 47 in Trump's first 100 days. Video shows medical school in Illinois flagrantly disobeying Trump's executive order, and ChatGPT can now shop for you too. President Donald Trump tapped former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz for his administration's ambassador to the UN after Waltz was ousted from the National Security Council office yesterday. I am pleased to announce I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations, Trump posted on Truth Social on Thursday from his time in uniform on the battlefield, in Congress. And as my national security advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first, and I know he will do the same in his new role. Kuwait has released an additional 10 American detainees, U.S. officials confirmed yesterday, marking the second such release in as many months and bringing the total of Americans freed during President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office to 47. The latest wave of pardons, announced on May the 1st by Adam Bowler, the Trump administration's top hostage envoy, comes amid the administration's focus on making hostage and detainee diplomacy a key part of its foreign policy. Leaked video obtained by Fox News Digital shows school administrators at an Illinois School of Medicine rejecting multiple Trump executive orders, including on combating DEI and outlining how the school plans to fight back against them. Trump's executive order on gender ideology is an attack on women and on basic human rights, according to Dr. Jerry Crooks, Dean, Provost, and CEO of SIU School of Medicine. We will resist obeying in advance. We won't do any anticipatory obedience, he said. Our quote of the day: "In my deepest wound, I saw your glory, and it dazzled me." Saint Augustine of Hippo. And our saint of the day, his ascetical writing contributed greatly to monasticism throughout the Western world. Coming up, you're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. In 1971, if D.B. Cooper had jumped out of an airplane with $200,000 worth of gold instead of U.S. currency, he would have $11.5 million in gold bullion today. Now, we don't know where D.B. Cooper's money is, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his vault, and you don't have to jump out of an airplane to win it.
Win Mike Church's Pound of Gold tickets, available at winapoundofgold.com. D.B. Cooper and Cocaine Bear parachutes sold separately. For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints. Catch new episodes of Reconquest Wednesdays at 8 Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Our saint of the day is Saint Athanasius. Athanasius led a tumultuous but dedicated life of service to the Church. He was the great champion of the faith against the widespread heresy of Arianism, the teaching by Arius that Jesus was not truly divine. The vigor of his writings earned him the title of Doctor of the Church. Born of a Christian family in Alexandria, Egypt, and given a classical education, Athanasius became secretary to Alexander, the Bishop of Alexandria, entered the priesthood, and was eventually named bishop himself. His predecessor, Alexander, had been an outspoken critic of a new movement growing in the East, Arianism. When Athanasius assumed his role as Bishop of Alexandria, he continued the fight. At first, it seemed the battle would be easily won, but that didn't prove to be the case. The Council of Tyre was called, and for several reasons that are still unclear, the Emperor Constantine exiled Athanasius to northern Gaul. This was to be the first in a series of travels and exiles reminiscent of the life of St. Paul. After Constantine died, his son restored Athanasius as bishop, but it lasted only a year, and Athanasius took his case to Rome. Pope Julius I called a synod to review the case and other related matters. 5 times, Athanasius was exiled for his defense of the doctrine of Christianity. Among his ascetical writings, his Life of St. Anthony achieved astonishing popularity and contributed greatly to the establishment of monastic life throughout the Western Christian world. ChatGPT can now shop for you too. OpenAI announced Monday that users will soon be able to shop through ChatGPT, rivaling Google Shopping. The AI-powered search shopping buttons are rolling out to everyone with the app installed, including guest users without an account. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, but we do know that Mike Church will give you a chance to win his pound of gold, and all you have to do is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing. So I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
So let's go back.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they used to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Performing this show with 86.3% of my testosterone tied behind my back just to make it fair. An oasis of toxic masculinity, Christian and constitutional common sense. Awash in a sea of angry, despondent, single, angry, ugly cat ladies. Mike Church here with you on the Mike Church Show, your home for the 2025 Win a Pound of Gold. Goldfinger. Win a pound of gold.com contest. $50 gets you a ticket. $50 could turn into easily $40,000 in gold. You can become an affiliate and use your link like Bob Kopka's using his to acquire 6 free tickets already. Sell 5 tickets, you get a free one. So on the same site, winapoundofgold.com. Don't forget, today is Free Phone Friday. You know what that means.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Do it!
It's Free Phone. It's Free Phone.
Know when to look at the phones, but it is Free Phone Friday Day. You are charged with the task of telling us what it is we shall talk about on the program. Telephone number to take me up on this kind, benevolent, beneficent offer, use of these radio airwaves. 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email me, my email address. I am King Dude at protonmail.com. And the Crusader Stadium chat room is, well, someone has the paddles out and somebody was performing CPR on it during the timeout. And then somebody went, clear! And shocked it. It shook for a minute, kind of came to life, but currently it's dead. So it's going to need you, fair Crusader, a citizen of Lost Archaea, to head on in there and hit it with the paddles and shock it into its previous glory of triple-digit chatters at crusadechannel.com/chat. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at, hey, let's do this, milesfranklin.com. Send them an email. It's info, I-N-F-O, info at milesfranklin.com. They'll send you back a price list for today's precious metals, whatever it is that you want to buy. Just let them know, and then you can buy them from milesfranklin.com, and you will be doing business with those who do business with us. So again, you can go to milesfranklin.com, or you can take the easy route. Just send an email, info at milesfranklin.com. Say, hey, Andy, hey, Lama, dude named Church sent me. And he will send you the best price that there is out there. Speaking of said Herr Sheckman, Andy is becoming almost like Junk Bond. I'm going to have to start playing the James Bond theme when I bring him on, because I can't keep him in the United States. First, he was given a week of talks to the Canucks in Canada. Then he jetted off to Spain and was regaling the Europeans. Finally, he came back to the United States, but then he was booked solid for 10 days. So I had to make this appointment 12 days ago, so we better not blow it. Get talking right now with Andy Sheckman of MilesFranklin.com and our precious metal sponsor for the Win a Pound of Gold.com contest. Brother Andy, how are you?
Mike, I'm good, brother. How you doing? Thanks for having me in. Sorry I've been hard to reach. It's kind of the exception to the rule, my man.
Well, no, because you know your business and you're in high demand because people are seeing that there is a possibility of a return to gold or a return to as some kind of a currency backed by some kind of a metal. So I don't blame people for inviting you and want you to speak.
Yeah, but I always want to make time for you.
Oh, you're too kind. You are too kind. Look, I want to talk to you just abstract real quick, and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I told the story of D.B. Cooper earlier today, and 'cause I did a whole research on it so I could make some commercials for the contest about it. And so in 1971, he jumped off the plane, $200,000 in currency. And I was telling the audience, and I said, and I even said when I said this, I said, boy, I bet I can turn Andy Sheckman loose on this. Okay, let's do the calculation. DB jumped off with $200,000 in currency. Let's pretend that he survived and he fell asleep like Rip Van Winkle, and he woke up yesterday and he took his $200,000 and he went into a town to go buy stuff, and they told him, like, well, dude, that's only worth like $28,000 today. Now, what if DB had jumped out of that plane with $200,000 worth of gold? Gold was $40 an ounce the day he jumped out of the plane. That's 5,000 bars. Value today, $11.5 million. What's that value again? $11.5 million. Is there a lesson in there, Mr. Sheckman?
Well, actually, in 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window, at first it was $35 an ounce. That's 5,714 ounces of gold. It would have been hard to jump out. It would have fallen like a lead brick. But let's just say he did. Right now, you're looking at even more than that. $1,000 divided by 35.
He's calculating.
30. You're looking at roughly, wow, can that be right? Yeah, I mean, you're looking at $18 million worth of gold. That if he would have, yeah, well, that's the point. That's the point. When you look at gold, Mike, what gold does is it retains your purchasing power, and it doesn't need to pay interest. So that gold that DB hid in a cave somewhere could have been, well, obviously would have been earning nothing but dust, and for the better part of 54 years, and that goes to show the power of gold. It doesn't need to pay you interest. It's shown throughout all of history. I could give you all sorts of examples like that where it retains its purchasing power, and it will forever. It's got a magic way of doing that, I guess.
No, it does. Okay, so the lesson learned, and which is why I'm telling people, dude, $50 at McDonald's or $50 to buy a ticket, support the cause, and have a chance to win 40 grand in gold bars. I'm taking the chance to win the gold bars. I'm gonna fast from the McDonald's meal.
You know, Mike, just to put it in perspective, what it is, it's not that gold goes higher, it's the dollar goes lower. When my father graduated college in 1963, he had just married my mother, and he said, he was making $5,800 a year, and said, your mom and I could live comfortably on that. Now tell me, how the hell can anyone live comfortably on $5,800 a year?
Wow.
Well, you could in 1963. And so it's not that gold has been going higher, it's just that the dollar every single year is being inflated out from underneath us, insidiously.
Now, let's talk about something that you talked about last time you were on this show, and a lot of people were surprised and shocked by it. And I think that your point has only now become that much more realistic. And it looks to me like the plan, and that things are going according to the Trump plan. So when Trump takes office, the Dow is at 43.5, 44. It's currently just hovering right around 40. They have successfully shaved, just as you predicted, 4,000 points off it. I don't know how many trillions of dollars that is. Your statement was that they're kneecapping the market for a reason. You still think that this is so that there is a one-step move to raise the price of gold, wipe out the debt?
Well, I think it's not only that, that is part of it. I do believe that the United States has become a net importer of gold since January. We have imported more gold since January than the United States did at any point ever since World War II when we took over for the pound sterling during the Bretton Woods Agreement, where everyone sent us their gold. And we held almost all of the world's gold for various reasons. But, yeah, I do think there is a lot to be said about gold backing a new monetary system. At the same time, by kneecapping the market, by making the economy appear as though it's running into a recession, whether it is or isn't, gives the Federal Reserve thoughts of lowering interest rates. Trump wants lower interest rates. Trump wants a weaker dollar. But all of this pales in comparison, I believe, to the bigger plan, and that bigger plan is to reintroduce quietly gold into the monetary system. And, look, the most powerful bank on the planet, the Bank of International Settlements, reclassified gold as the world's only other Tier 1 reserve asset next to U.S. Treasuries. Central banks have been buying it left and right. During the Biden administration, we didn't. I think this administration understands that in order to get the world to want to take our treasuries anymore, something unique has to be done. And Judy Shelton, who was Trump's nominee to head the Federal Reserve in 2016, many think she'll run it this time when Powell is done with his term, has advocated for issuing gold-backed treasuries. And she told me on an interview I did with her verbatim that Trump has told her that on July 4th, 2026, the 250th anniversary of the country, he indeed will issue treasuries, 50-year treasuries, pegged and redeemable in gold.
Wow.
Well, if you look at all the gold that's coming in, Mike, I mean, it's so far outside what is normal. It certainly is beyond the scope of plausibility.
Okay, Andy Sheckman of MilesFranklin.com is on our Jewmaker hotline here. Let me share. This just came out like 5 minutes ago while you were talking. This is from Trump himself. Gasoline just broke $1.98 a gallon, lowest in years. Groceries and eggs down, energy down, mortgage rates down, employment strong, and much more good news as billions of dollars pour in from tariffs. Just like I said, and we're only in the transition stage, just getting started. Consumers have been waiting for years to see pricing come down. No inflation. The Fed should lower its rate, DJT. And you're right. He's trying to pressure Powell into lowering that rate. Now, you live, sleep, eat, and breathe this stuff. Is it? I guess the assumption or his thought is, and he's got some pretty good economic minds around him, looking smart. Basant is smart. There's a couple of little Sharpies in there. Is the thought that you want to ignite home building, or is it home sales?
I think it's home building, and we are so reliant on the world. We used to be the engine of manufacturing. We don't produce anything anymore, and I think that's what it is. I think he wants to reshore the manufacturing base, and in order to do that, you have to go like Andy Dufresne had to crawl through a tube of crap in the Shawshank Redemption to get to the other side. There is no way to get to the other side without doing that. And I think that's really what this is all about. There will be a period of pain, a period of discomfort, but in the end, that would give something, at least for our children, to be positive about. And a manufacturing base where, back in the day, I don't know how 6 or 7 or 8 out of 10 people had some form of job that worked with manufacturing in the 50s and 60s. Now it's 1 or 2. By the way, I forgot to mention, this is a tweet that Trump put out on Easter Sunday, Mike, and it kind of took me by surprise. He says on Truth Social at 3:09 p.m. on Easter Sunday, he says, "The golden rule of negotiating and success: he who has the gold makes the rules. Thank you." Now that's something I never heard by a U.S.-based president. You put it in context with all the gold coming back into the country, massive amounts, month over month over month over month. Something big is coming with gold. But yes, I do believe what he is trying to do is noble. Let me just make one point counter, because it's the pain point. It's the tariffs that he's trying to put on these other countries. These are the countries that take the dollar for their goods. They buy treasuries with the excess reserves, which for all of these years have kept interest rates low, have kept our goods that we buy cheap, have allowed us to live arguably beyond our standard of living, and have kept asset prices high.
Right.
So that's the part of the pain that will be difficult. But in the end, if we have a country that is the hub and engine of manufacturing, I think it puts our country in a much better position moving forward. How long that takes and what that pain looks like is up to anyone's imagination. But there's going to be some adjustments that we're going to need to get used to. But I would say it's a very noble endeavor. He's the first politician, let's just say, with enough courage to do something like this. And in the end, I think our grandchildren will thank him.
Yeah, Andy Sheckman of MilesFranklin.com is on our Dewmaker hotline here with us. Okay, so I know you're not a real estate guy, but I think that you know the game enough. Talk to people like me about the following scenario. Thanks to Biden and the stimmy checks and all the insanity that happened with the inflation, my home that I'm in right now, that I'm broadcasting from, that I've been trying to sell for 3 years, my home prior to the stimmy check, inflation, and real estate skyrocketing fake boom was valued at about $180 a square feet, maybe $190, depending on how well I kept it up. That would make this home worth about $339,000 before the boom. The guy who has a house right across from me, who did some major improvements on his that I didn't do, first sold his home 2 years ago for $445,000. That was sold 3 months ago for $451,000. There are homes for sale all around me in the $375,000 to $450,000 range. Same square foot, same yards. My only advantage is I have a cul-de-sac. Most people don't want to bite off a $450,000 mortgage, and no one wants to be the first person to take the haircut and drop their home price back to where it was before Biden's hijinks began. How in the hell are we going to get out of that pickle? I don't care what the interest rates are at that point.
Well, I mean, you might not care what the interest rates are, but the buyers certainly do.
Yes.
And that is because, if you go back to a few years ago, a 30-year fixed mortgage was at 3%. Now it's over double that. It's almost 7%. So the cost of money has doubled plus. That's the difficult part. And that's the part about asset prices that I'm talking about, where keeping interest rates low because people buy our treasuries, countries buy our treasuries, which keep interest rates low, then affects asset prices like home values.
Okay.
And you're right. When you throw trillions of dollars into the money supply and keep interest rates low, asset prices get distorted. What is the fair value of your home at 3%, at 6%, at 9%? And that's really the issue here. And this is one of the reasons I think that ultimately Trump would like to see lower interest rates to stimulate an economy and to get asset prices moving again. And part of the reason that no one really wants to sell their home and has them valued at higher prices maybe than you do is because these people are probably locked into 3 and 4% mortgages. If they didn't buy a few years ago, they probably refinanced at 3 or 4%. And when you buy a new home, well, you can't take that mortgage with you. So those houses that are $150,000 higher than yours, or 100, but the same house on the same block, it's probably no different than your home. Their expectations have not modified with the rise in interest rates. So I guess what I'm just simply trying to say to you is that your house is probably every bit as valuable as those houses are, so that people's expectations have to come down as rates go higher as to what their value of the property value is actually worth. Lowering rates would definitely stimulate what is a very stagnant real estate industry, 100%.
Yeah, the worst since 2009. It's not even close. I mean, we're almost in. Have you seen the movie The Big Short?
Sure.
What The Big Short brought about. Only that mechanism doesn't exist any longer. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left with Andy Sheckman of MilesFranklin.com. By the way, you will see the Miles Franklin logo at the top of the page at winapoundofgold.com. That's winapoundofgold.com. We're running a sub contest, Andy, and we're going to give away a pound of silver. every week for whoever sells the most affiliate, whoever uses their affiliate power or their affiliate links to sell the most ticket. The guy that's in the lead right now is almost close to having sold 30 tickets this week himself. So we'll be buying some silver from here very soon. Finally, talk about what you talked to the Canadians about. What kind of shape, because you went to Canada, what kind of shape is the Canadian economy in? And are these tariffs going to cause massive economic changes up north?
Yes, absolutely they will. And, you know, I think Canada is reeling from their elections. They went the way of the World Economic Forum and the same liberal mess that they found themselves in under Trudeau, the same liberal mess that we found ourselves in under the previous administration. They're reeling, as far as I'm concerned. And as far as the tariffs go, yes, absolutely, because the workaround for a lot of the countries would be to send things into Canada, send things into Mexico, and do the workaround. Trump won't allow that to happen. Look, you know, I think that the Canadian economy is in very big trouble, and that's what happens when you move away from capitalist ideas and move to a socialist set of policies where, you know, greatness and ingenuity is stifled. So I don't have much hope for the Canadian economy over the next several years, largely because they were silly enough to elect the same type of prime minister that they had under Trudeau, and in fact, I would expect to see things get much worse for them moving forward. You would think they would have followed the same playbook that the United States did, but sadly, they did not.
The last moderately conservative and decent prime minister that the Canadians had was Stephen Harper. And Harper paid all the debt down. The Canadian Parliament paid all their debt off, and we're in great shape. That paved the way for the pinko commie socialists to come in and wreck the darn thing, as they have done. Andy, we're out of time. You can find Andy hiding in plain sight at milesfranklin.com. And as I said, send that email on over, info@milesfranklin.com, and they'll send you a price back. Get your precious metals and do business with those that do business with us. We'll have you back on. Our contest is off to the races, and we'll keep you posted and updated on it. And it's going to be a great month of May 2025, brother.
We got to find a way to have some more time to talk and take or listener questions, and because I could talk to you all day, Mike. You're a wealth of knowledge. Thanks for having me on, brother, and let's do it again real soon.
We'll do that. You know what? We'll do that long form one, and I'll schedule it with you because we can do it in the 11 a.m. hour now, and we'll get it. Brother, it's great to talk to you as well. We'll talk soon. That's Andy Sheckman from milesfranklin.com. Folks, we got 1/2 hour left to go, but never fear because we have the extended hour now, and I haven't played the soundbite.
I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. The market report, the Dow Jones closed up 0.21%. The S&P was up as well, 0.63%. NASDAQ climbed 1.52%. In National Day calendar news, today is School Lunch Hero Day, dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias and the schools a better place to be. It's also National Space Day. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering education in young people in the hopes that they'll be inspired to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. It's Life Insurance Day, and it's National Truffle Day. It was Petruccelli of Cambrai, France, believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle. That was back in December of 1895. Truffles became much more prevalent in 1902 after the Prestat chocolate shop opened in London. In fact, Prestat still sells Napoleon III truffles made to the original recipe. Our quote of the day, "In my deepest wound I saw your glory and it dazzled me." St. Augustine of Hippo. And our saint of the day, St. Athanasius. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
So, Maggie, what's with the wry smile?
First of all, dude, I'll wry smile if I want to. Second of all, it's not wry, it's excited.
All right, so what are you excited about?
It's a chick thing. You just wouldn't understand.
What? Is there a sequel to the Twilight trilogy coming out on Peacock?
Pretty close. My trilogy box set of the Summa Domestica is on the way.
So when did you start reading St. Thomas?
It's not St. Thomas. It's Layla Marie Lawler, and it's 3 books every young wife or soon-to-be wife ought to have.
Well, you are a wife, but you're not...
Stop! Don't you do it!
All right. I was just kidding. Light of my life.
Mm-hmm. Besides, it's for our niece as a wedding present.
And I'm sure it'll be a great one.
It will be. Now, where's that cast iron skillet?
What do you need that for?
Well, I'm a domestica you.
Get the Summa Domestica and dozens of other book selections for girls and women of all ages at the Founders Trading Post store today at shop.mikechurch.com.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. The first gold rush wasn't in California or in Alaska. It was in Dahlonega, Georgia in 1829 and lasted until the last gold mine closed around 1910. Now, some people say that there's still gold in them there Georgia hills. We don't know about that, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his safe, and he's going to give it away on May the 23rd. And you don't have to say, go dogs, to win it.
Win Mike Church's Pound of Gold. Tickets on sale now at winapoundofgold.com. Gold pin
Hey, Mrs. McGillicuddy, don't be a satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no thanks, just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there, you didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Music loud, women walk. I've been kicked around since I was born. I never tolerate, that's okay. And you may look the other way, but we can try to understand. And New York Times are big on man. Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive. Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking. And we're staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive.
Staying alive in too much heaven. Oh, folks, we got a jobs report out. Whoa. Whoa. My friends, things are getting good out there. April jobs jump unexpectedly. You know, I want to talk about this unexpected nonsense here. First, this portion of the program brought to you by 2awatchcompany.com. You heard Trump give the commencement at Alabama last night. You know, I hope that somebody, look at my beautiful POTUS 4547 chronograph. She's a beaut, Clark. She's a beaut. You know, it's hard to see, but you can see it on their website. I love my my 2awatchcompany.com chronograph. You're going to love yours, too. And you can get them in so many different watch styles and different faces, Second Amendment theme, Liberty theme, MAGA theme, different bands. They actually, my guys, Josh and George, actually made this one custom for me because I wanted the alligator leather band and said, well, King Dude, we don't usually do that, but for you. So they custom made this guy for me. They'll custom make one for you, too. So do business with those who do business with us. 2awatchcompany.com. Use the coupon code CHURCH at checkout. 2awatchcompany.com. I want to talk about this. The world has been taken by shock and surprise. No! The expertocracy is taken by surprise. by the jobs numbers. These people suck at everything they do. These economists were surprised and stunned because they're witch doctors. Ladies and gentlemen, they may as well all be sitting around a table with a crystal ball in it with Marina Abramovic and Lady Gaga conducting a seance to come up with their numbers. There is no science behind it. These people are formulaic imbeciles. They're boobs without nipples. All the experts are surprised. Good. Look at the numbers. Listen to this. Ahead of today's job report, we knew that the number would be a big drop from March 228,000. The only question was, how big would said drop be? And whether a tariff hit would be accounted for in today's number. We got the answer moments ago, says Tyler Durden at Zero Hedge, when the BLS reported that in April, the U.S. added 177,000 jobs, which, while certainly a big drop from last month's 228, came in well above the experts' estimate of 138,000 and clearly indicated that the tariff hit has yet to come. No, Tyler, it clearly indicates that the numbnuts who are called economists don't know what the hell they're doing. The Trump administration and the Trump team are filled with actual business people who actually have made money and actual real business and actually know what the real world impacts of a pro-American trade policy will be. These little Ivy League snotty-nosed punks and bald-headed pricks that make up the economic intelligentsia. Well, you say, we have estimated that the grand total of... It's going according to the plan, exactly as President Trump said. I'm going to get the energy prices down. I'm going to whack the snot out of energy. And that is going to begin the snowball, prices coming down, and of inflation coming to heel. So what's happened? That's what's happened. Absolutely not incredible. The unemployment rate was unchanged as expected, printing at 4.2%, as the number of employed workers rose 436,000 to 163.944 million, whatever the number is, while the number of unemployed rose by 82,000, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you what is happening out there. And the DOGE Bros need to continue their work. The DOGE Bros need to continue whacking. You know, before we go to Magdalene, play, I think the most offensive of all of these sound bites, Mag, is probably number 12, where they talk about the IAF and how they fleece people, or is it the one that they have with the U.S. Institute for Peace? I mean, they're all offensive. Well, play the... I play you the Big Balls once so you can find out who Big Balls is. Number 10? Yes. So this is... and again, he's in a room with all these Doge nerds. These are nerds. I mean, there's the cast from Revenge of the Nerds is sitting at that table, literally. And they said this.
It's me. That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
He looks like he's 10.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Yeah. So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So
Okay, now. All right. There are a couple of things. Play the next one before we go to Magdalene. I don't want Magdalene to hear this. Play 12. play the U.S. Institute for Peace, the next one, 11. What I want people to take away from this is, okay, did it sound like these were the sinister people who Democrats have been saying are working tirelessly and, are black masked up so that nobody knows their identity and are showing up like in burglar outfits and are fleecing the taxpayer and stealing? You go around that room and you just see nerds. And there's 3 of them right there. They can't be a day over 21, 22. That big balls dude looks like he's 12 to me. What I want you to take away from this, one of the things I want you to take away from this, first of all, it seems like it must be pretty fun to work with Elon. Because there was camaraderie, there was humor in that room. The leftards just don't get this, folks. They've never worked in pleasant environments before because everywhere they go, they bring misery. So they can't relate to what you just saw. They can't. The Trump cabinet meetings they can't relate to because they've never seen human flourishing. They've spent their entire lives fighting to squash human flourishing in exchange for Democrat and government mandated and government caused human suffering and misery. So watch this one. And there's the same camaraderie and the same humor, but it's a serious subject.
United States Institute of Peace is definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So as a contractor, they received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or abroad.
Or nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Now, Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor for the Mike Church Show. Magdalene, does this sound like sinister work to you, or does it sound like that these guys are actually finding that there are criminal enterprises calling themselves government?
That one. And I think what's interesting about the entirety of the DOGE work is that DOGE is really literally just trying to save the American people money. So I think that Democrats have run into this really sticky situation where the thing they hate, the thing that they protest against the most, the American people get the most out of. So it's a branding and marketing nightmare for them.
Let me tell you what else is a branding and marketing nightmare. We now have, we can't get it yet, but it's out there. We now have audio of Gilmar Abrego Garcia's girlfriend going to a court of law in Virginia and pleading with the judge to slap a restraining order on this gangbanger because he beats her in the middle of the night. This is Maryland. Let me introduce you to Australopithecus Maryland man. This is the Democrats' poster boy for the year. You actually have the audio or no?
I haven't listened to it, so I don't.
We don't know if there's any cursing on it, is what you're saying.
It's in a courtroom.
Okay, well, I wouldn't have meant.
Here it is.
Okay, hang on. Here we go.
That his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was like I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports, and I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then like he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably like 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, like, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, like, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, like all the bruises, because it's not, even on Wednesday, he hit me like around like 3 a.m. He would just wake up and like hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
This is the woman who is now making hundreds of thousands of dollars in GiveSingo and GoFundMe accounts. She says she was at an event yesterday with Chris Von Salvador in Maryland, where they are like they're not doubling and tripling down now. They're throwing all the entirety of the Democrat Party and everything it stands for. They're all throwing the whole thing in on this guy. And now the Tennessee State Highway Patrol has released footage of this guy being gangbanger arrested, and the cops are talking about, well, it looks like trafficking to us. If we had a media that had any integrity whatsoever, I think that the Democrat Party, for what they have done, and their judges would be completely and totally either laughed out of existence, or the American people may get tired of this and start surrounding these people with burning torches and pitchforks and demanding that either you stand down or we're going to take care of it ourselves.
Well, and what's so frustrating is that she knows what she's doing, but this is the culture. This is the culture that we're dealing with. He will beat her. She'll be in fear of her life, but if there's money, she'll go along with it. So we are constantly in a position where we're trying desperately to help people who utilize whatever they can to scam whatever they can from well-meaning people. And it's very frustrating. And it's one of the reasons why young conservatives have become so right-wing in the last few years, because they look at this and they say, oh, well, it's just a scam. She's just going to profit what she can. That's what these people do. That's the problem we're in at this point. And for Democrats, he's an unsympathetic figure. He's not particularly accomplished. So think about how desperate they have to be for this to be their guy.
Well, they have to be desperate enough to think that Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries are their guys. They have to be desperate enough to think that David Lil Boss Hogg is their guy. I mean, I almost feel sorrow and pity for Jessica Tarloff when she shows up every day and goes on the 5. Because she has to find something to say that is like, well, no, our party is going to do this and they're going to do that. I think that what is happening here is the complete and total. Look, when you have an entire, I don't want to give him too much credit, but Roger Ailes has a book out called "Live Not by Lies." You have an entire political structure, an infrastructure, a superstructure, if you will, a foundation that is built on a lie that government makes people's lives better. All government is supposed to do, the best government in the world, is to see to it that God's laws are observed and enforced, and basically that people that are bad are removed from the people that are good. That's really all it's supposed to do at the end of the day. And this experiment with the state and the super nanny state, if they think about this, they created the super nanny state. Now, there's cause célèbre has fled to the nanny state to save it. If you were an author, you couldn't bake a formula or a story that was more custom made for this moment, could you?
And that's what's so frustrating is that Democrats look at this and they say, well, we have people who are being unfairly persecuted by the Trump administration, this and that. The Trump administration is getting rid of the evil people in this country who are not American citizens. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. And I think the Democrats have to look around and realize that everything they run on is horrible. People don't want to have nothing and live in crime. I know, like, how dare they? But that's not what they want. And with David Hogg, I've been following this story even more. He has now been able to sort of sway James Carville even more. He's been placing calls across the board to DNC officials. He's going to stay in the DNC as of now. So if David Hogg is sort of the future now of the DNC, it will become even more radical. That boy is a true revolutionary.
I think that you know what, Maggie, play play 13, digital media file number 13. Here's Jesse Waters again sitting down with the DOGE Bros last night and having a little conversation of, okay, well, can you guys tell me what you did? By the way, did you see this? Did you see the Jesse Waters report?
I did. It was very interesting.
Okay. You're a young person. You saw those two. I'd say about half those guys at that Doge table were about your age or younger. Yeah. They didn't seem to me like anything other than energetic, very smart young people who are really good with computers and volunteered for something that's bigger than them and are just kind of happy to be there.
That is what they are. But Democrats have a twisted view of youth. We keep hearing that they're the party of young people, that they like young people. They don't. They like young people that stroke their own egos. Now, there's some of that on the Republican side as well, but for Democrats, that's the issue. They like young people that toe the line. They don't like young people who may disagree with them or have an issue with how they're running things, which is why so many Bernie bros became Trump supporters and just full-fledged Republicans now, because they were in that category of young people the DNC said they liked. But when they objected to how Bernie was treated, they were ostracized. They were thrown out. Horrible things happened to them within the political process. That's how we ended up winning in 2016, because the DNC and Democrats don't actually like young people.
Okay, play that Doge clip, Maggie, please, very much. Thank you for having that queued up. Here we go.
Just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over a terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, so this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yes.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
Okay, these people are going to go to jail here. And again, I think it's great for the American people, and God bless Jesse Waters and Fox News for actually allowing him, and Elon for letting him in the meeting, which started at 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, by the way, to get a kind of an inside view of what it is that they're actually doing. Now, the voice that you heard, the young man, that was Big Balls. Big Balls is sitting there, and again, he looks like he's 12, but saying, like, this is what we found. And again, what side, when you hear this, Magdalene, and you watch it, what side do your sympathies kind of automatically line up with? The Democrats and the people in the deep state and the big state, or the people that are going like, this is wrong, and we're discovering it for the benefit of the American people so we can bring it to an end?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people will find the young people that Elon's working with quite inspiring. And this has always been an issue for Democrats, is that they went after Elon Musk, who is like the inspiration for Iron Man in the movies. And they were surprised that young men in America, specifically young white men, didn't like that. They were surprised that Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Vance and Rubio are seen as these sort of superhero men in this country right now. So Democrats operate in a constant state of just having no idea what's going on. At some point in the political process, if your party has no positions everyone likes and you've lost and you see no way forward, it's okay to dissolve it and start over. I think Democrats should look around and really evaluate whether or not their party is salvageable for the next several elections.
Okay, I have one final question, and our week is concluded, and that's this. Is the Congress ever going to change? President Trump said, okay, Zion King and Thune, screw you two. I am bringing NPR and National Communist Radio to an end by executive order. He sat there and he waited. He dropped the hints going like, you need to defund this. You need to defund this. You need to defund this. You know, Elon Musk presents all the things that NPR is doing. And there's Johnson, who can't seem to get anything done, won't do anything. And then Trump finally said, I think this is a rebuke of the Congress. Trump finally says, screw it. I'll do it myself. Do you see it that way?
Yes, I do. And I think that the problem Trump has with Congress is he's winning so much. His executive group, Marco Rubio, the Pete Hegseth, everyone in those executive positions are doing so well that Congress isn't being shamed enough by Republican voters. And that's the difference. Previously, Trump would have sort of a push against people who betrayed him, but he's winning so much and he's so liked now that the hatred towards Republicans who fail him in Congress isn't enough anymore. He's got to step that up and I think be willing to engage a little more with those libertarian-skewed Republicans who want to get something done and who really want to say to the establishment Republicans, you're not in charge anymore.
All right, Magdalene, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Don't forget, winapoundofgold.com. Folks, that's all the time we have. We have 1 hour left to go. The magic or the golden soundbite has not been played. Perhaps you have heard the soundbite has not been played. We are going to play it at some point in time today. Remember, the show, the extra hour, is at 11 a.m. Central. That's kind of a hint. Go to winapoundofgold.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you in 2 hours here. God bless you. Merry keep you.